music.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
All right, welcome back to the second episode of the Hitting the Field podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Brener, and we're going to be talking some NFL Week 2 because, boy, a lot happened. A lot happened. And so much happened that I can't do it by myself. So I've got two HTF contributors right here in the studio with me today. Joining me is the new host of Hitting the Field Season 9, season veteran, Jaret Kappelman. Jaret, what's going on, man?
I was definitely here on time.
Yes, definitely here on time. Just did not just wake up 20 minutes ago for this. But you know what? That's dedication. We appreciate that and glad you're here. We also got one of our newest HTF rookies on the block. Very excited to have him on the podcast, see what he's got to throw down. John Whitley, welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing, man?
Good, just fired up to be here, fired up that football's back.
Fired up. That's always great to hear, especially as a first-time guest on the podcast. So I'm fired up that you're here, John Whitley. But you know who else was fired up on Sunday? Jalen Ramsey at his coach, Doug Marrone. I was watching that game because it was Texans-Jaguars in Houston on Sunday. Texans squeaked out a 13-12 win. I think the Texans got a little bit of a help from someone from above, football gods. Missed 2-point conversion. The Jags tried to go for the win, and they were just came up short, literally an inch short. But I think the main takeaway from that game was Jalen Ramsey getting irked at Doug Marrone. Not just irked, but very, very, very irked. So much so that it led to a trade request from Ramsey this week. So that is where we're going to start. John, I just want to get your thoughts on, should Jalen be requesting a trade? Is it too early for that? What do you make of just Jalen and his antics?
Well, I think it's no wonder he's fired up with his coach and his organization. They couldn't reach the contract agreement with him this offseason. And on top of that, you're underutilizing him in the defense. So it's really no wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're underutilizing him. I think, well, from what I gauged, and because we watched the game, we get a very limited perspective as to what happened. I think what was going on was Jalen Ramsey wanted a challenge because he felt that he was covering DeAndre Hopkins the whole game. He did a great job, and that's why I don't think they underutilize him, because they are simply they put him on the top receiver every week. And he usually does a pretty good job. He did a good job on Hopkins this week, limited him to under 50 yards. So, but I think he wanted a challenge, and he didn't get this challenge. And Doug Marrone didn't want a challenge. And do I blame him? Not really. It was in the second quarter, so it was pretty early in the game to use a challenge, especially for a play that didn't really matter too much. The play was in Texans territory, so didn't truly make a difference in the grand scheme of things. But obviously, when you're Jalen Ramsey and you're anchoring that defense in a way, you should get calls, and he didn't get this one. Jaret, I want to hear your take on this whole situation.
I think Jalen's excuse for, I just want to win is terrible, because everyone just wants to win. And we've seen it time and time again, That's what I think free agency is for, Hey, you take your talents, you go play where you think you're going to win. But I don't think mid-season is the way to go. You know what? Get me out of here. I want out. We're losing. Like, okay, that's part of the game. You decided this. You decided that you weren't going to get this contract extension. So you know what? Suck it up for another year, 2 years, and then get out and go play where you want to play. Like the Antonio Brown thing with like getting out and then going to the Patriots. Did he do it the right way? No, but like it's like the same thing with Jalen. You in the Dolphins last week after they lost week 1, you had players say, "I want out, I want out." I think Jalen's just you need to man up at some point. It's like, yes, your team sucks, but I don't think quitting on your team and just saying, get me out of here is the right attitude towards it as a professional.
Yeah, because, you could ask to get out and you could be going to Miami. And I don't think that's what Jalen wants for sure.
Obviously, because the Jags are asking for a lot for him. And the only teams that are going to do it are people that are going to be contenders for the next 5 years because they're not going to need those draft picks, per se. So it'll be a top team like, I don't know if the Rams still have picks left, but the Rams, the Patriots, the Eagles, the Cowboys. It's going to be contenders now, not people that are still trying to contend in 2 to 3 years because they need the picks.
I'll be honest. I'm not sure if I agree with you on that because, we'll get a little more into detail with Minkah Fitzpatrick later, but Minkah was traded to the Steelers for a 2020 first that, and after what the Steelers have done, and we'll get to more on Ben Roethlisberger a little later in the show, the Steelers aren't going to win a Super Bowl this year. They're not. And there's no guarantee that they're going to win a Super Bowl next year either, or they're even going to be a contender next year. I mean, they might be because they are the Steelers and they do have such a tradition of winning, and they have the pieces in place to possibly contend. But I don't necessarily believe that teams are just going to, throw out. I don't believe it's just contenders that are going to go out for these. And also, it's so early in the season. Teams that are 2-0 can still finish 2-14. Let's get that right. And teams that are 0-2 can still finish 14-2. So it's still very early on in the season as to who's a contender, who's a pretender. But now that we've mentioned, potential landing spots, John, Jalen Ramsey, it looks like this trade is going to happen pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to happen before tomorrow night's game against the Titans. But it looks like it's it's not a matter of if, it's more a matter of when. So, name a team, at the end of the season, what uniform is Jalen Ramsey going to wear?
I'd like to see him with the Tennessee Titans. I think they've got a good young team. They're in a division that's wide open, and I think they're really just missing one tough physical piece on that defense. However, I don't think Jacksonville is going to want to trade him to a team in their division, especially when that division is so wide open and Jacksonville's right there in the mix. So I would say either Tennessee. I'd also love to see him on the Chiefs. They're right there with the Patriots. I think they are really going to give the Patriots a run for their money, and I think adding Jalen Ramsey makes them the favorite in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs make a lot of sense, although I don't know if the interest is there for Kansas City. I think that it makes a total amount of sense because as of right now, the AFC looks like it's on a collision course of Chiefs-Patriots once again. And it's going to come down to one game in the AFC Championship, whether it's in Kansas City, whether it's in New England. And you're going to want a guy, and if Antonio Brown is there, you're going to need a guy to be able to stop Antonio Brown. Jalen Ramsey is one of the few people that can do that. And I think that Kansas City makes a lot of sense, although I don't believe that is a plausible destination for Jalen Ramsey just because the Chiefs simply have not expressed interest in acquiring him. But Jaret, I know you want him on the Eagles. You've talked about it ever since Jalen's wanted out.
I do. And it's more of I'm tired of seeing the same 3 corners get burned on the Eagles, so it'd be nice to see a different guy get burned. But honestly, Jalen's talented. He's a proven player. That's what I was going to say. Like, we'll touch on it later. Because I think him and Minkah are 2 completely different aspects of why they should be traded for now. But, I mean, I hope to see Jalen in an Eagles uniform. Realistically, though, I mean, he'll probably end up on, like, the Saints. I could see the Saints doing it.
The Saints, really?
I could definitely see the Saints doing it because they need someone to step up with Breeze out for a couple weeks. They have the picks to do it.
You're not going to do that with a cornerback, though.
I mean, the Rams just put up 27 on them, and that wasn't Bridgewater's fault.
That's true. You do bring
they
a good
need
point with
help.
that.
Cooper Kupp's out there tearing them up. Brandon Cooks was tearing them up. If the Saints do it, I think if they can just live till Drew Brees gets back, they'll be in the Super Bowl this year. If the Rams get them, it's a wrap. They'll be back in the Super Bowl. I hate to say it, but like, if a top team in the NFC gets them, they could be contenders to just go to the Super Bowl, because a lot of these teams are one or two players away from being a solidified defense.
Yeah, and that's the kind of player Jalen Ramsey is. He can change your team into an ultimate contender right away without even playing a snap. He's that kind of guy, and it's part of the reason why Jacksonville's been able to stay afloat, in my opinion, in the last couple seasons. And talk about Jacksonville for a second. This time a year ago, Jacksonville was coming off of a win against the New England Patriots. A very convincing win, might I add. And it has just taken a 180 since then. It really has, and it's unfortunate. Really is unfortunate. But what do you, John, I want to throw this at you now. What do you think is a proper asking price if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars? What is worth trading Jalen Ramsey at the end of the day?
Bare minimum, a first and a second round pick. But I really think they're asking 2 first-round picks. I think they should get 2 first-round picks. He's top 3 at that position, in a position that every team needs. So
you need 4 positions you need in order to contend in football: quarterback, left tackle, offensive linebacker, pass rusher, edge, corner. And so many teams are one piece away. They have 3 of those. They just need 1 more, or they have 2 of those, and a third one might bring them just that much closer to a title. But Jaret, same question. What do you think it will take for Jalen Ramsey to for the Jacksonville Jaguars to set Jalen free?
It's gonna minimum be a 1 round, for 1 first round, because you have to get return. It's like return on investment kind of thing. You have to get. What did they get? He got 4. He was 4th overall.
He was the 5th overall pick.
5th overall. So they obviously need to get return on that. If it's a division rival, they're not going to go for less than 2 first rounds. If it's AFC, they're going to look for a first and a second at least. But, I mean, you're going to have to get a first. It's going to be a draft pick or player type of deal. But a first is guaranteed in that deal. It has to be a first round, and then there's either got to be a great player involved or a couple more good draft picks, because the Jags would be stupid to let them walk.
Yeah, and, I think that the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade really helps Jacksonville here, because you're setting a baseline for Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is a second-year player, and now you have Jalen Ramsey. And speaking of Minkah Fitzpatrick, that's where we're heading with this right now. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 18 games into his NFL career, traded by the Dolphins to the Pittsburgh Steelers during Monday Night Football. Steelers traded back their 2020 first-round pick, and given the news of Ben Roethlisberger being out, it looks like that 2020 first-round pick could be a pretty high pick. John, who won this trade at the end of the day?
Oh, the Dolphins absolutely won this trade. They're stockpiling first-round picks. They can build through the draft, very similar to the way the Colts have. The Steelers, this looks like a little bit of a desperate move. This could be a top 10 pick, potentially. So they picked Minkah Fitzpatrick with the 11th, so they got a profit. You're never going to go broke making a profit.
Absolutely. I'm going to... here's the thing, though, about the Steelers. Steelers have needed a safety for a really long time. And the good thing about Minkah, though, is he can play safety. You can play him on the outside corner. You can play him in the slot corner. And he hits like a linebacker. And those guys come few and far between. And I really like this trade for Pittsburgh. But also, would I have done it now after the Ben Roethlisberger trade? I think what they did show is they showed Minkah, like, we really want you. And we traded our probably high first-round pick to get you. But also, what I think that the Steelers are showing with this move is we're playing for this year still. We're not just throwing in the towel after 2 weeks because our quarterback's out and we're playing Mason Rudolph here. We are playing still for 2019 because, hey, it's not like we're going to tank for 2020 now because you don't have a first-round pick in 2020 anymore. So I think that this was a message the Steelers sent to the team. It's like, hey, we're still in it this year. We want to win this year. And, that gives incentive to the guys that are on the team. And it says, hey, don't throw in the towel just yet. Jaret.
So wait, they gave up a 2020 first round or 2021?
It was a 2020, and it also featured a couple low round picks, a fourth and a seventh.
If I'm the Steelers, that was just dumb because, I don't think they're winning the division, and you just threw away your first pick or your first round pick for a player who, if he's not happy with his trade destination, once that contract's up, he's gone. Unless you want to waste the franchise tag on him and do all that. But what happened with the last player they tagged? Where is he now? New York.
Yeah.
Steelers have had an issue with keeping players happy lately. And I think, that's a whole different story. But the Steelers as a team to compete now, it's weird considering that Connor's banged up. Big Ben's out for this season, even though I think Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger right now, just based off, week 2 performance in Ben's previous 2 games. But it'll be interesting. The Steelers defense did get torched against the Patriots. They gave up 28 to the Seahawks, so they need help. And we all thought they were going to take that help in the draft, which they did, just at a different position at the linebacker. So it'll be interesting to see when Minkah plays, if it's this week, next week, and the immediate impact is what I need to see.
Yeah, the full trade was as follows. Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded to the Steelers with a 2020 4th round pick and a 2021 7th round pick. The Dolphins received a 2020 1st round, 2020 5th round, and a 2021 6th round. So hypothetically, they swapped 2021 picks and they got a somewhat better pick. Given a 6th versus a 7th.
Hypothetically, the Dolphins could pick 1-2 this year.
That's a bold statement, though.
That is
a very bold statement.
But I think it's not unrealistic to say the Dolphins can pick first because they look absolutely atrocious.
They're already on the clock.
But
my opinion.
To say the Steelers win 3 games, 2-3 games, I don't think it's unreasonable. I think the only team that's probably worse than the Steelers right now are the Giants. Well, and the Dolphins.
And the Jets?
I wouldn't put it. I honestly, if Steelers played right now, Jets win that game.
All right, but I don't know. I don't really think you're giving the Steelers a whole lot of credit here.
No, I'm not.
You're not.
They still put up points with Ben Roethlisberger out of the game, and you can make a strong case they looked even better with Ben Roethlisberger.
But you know who that was, though? That was the defense. The defense was putting up points.
3 short fields, right? 2-3 short fields.
The defense was truly helping them out, and Chris Carson obviously, needs a cough drop because he keeps coughing the ball up.
Please start Rashad Penny, please.
Rashad Penny, 10 carries, 62-yard touchdown. That's pretty good.
I benched him in fantasy last week.
You shouldn't have.
I still won.
Chris Carson, 15 carries, 60 yards. But if you look at the Steelers, though, their defense looked super strong, and they're only getting stronger with Minkah. And if you look at the Steelers' schedule coming up, you get the Niners, which on the road, a 2-0 Niners team that may or may not be, deserving of the 2-0 record given their early season schedule. They play the Bengals, which, I don't know, Jaret. I think that the Steelers are better than the Bengals. That's a Monday Night Football game, though. That is a very bad Monday Night Football game.
I hate doing this team played this team played this team compare, but they both played the Seahawks. And I think the Bengals looked better against the Seahawks, being that it was in Seattle, than the Steelers did. But I'll let John touch on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bengals look pretty good. Andy Dalton has actually been one of the better veteran quarterbacks right now. A lot of them look like they're on their way out. Andy Dalton looks like he still has some good football to be played. He's got some good downfield threats. I'd take the Bengals to finish second in that division behind Baltimore.
Really? Over the Browns?
Absolutely. The Browns, they still got a lot of things to figure out with that offense.
I would say, though, that the Browns are a little farther along than the Bengals.
But okay, so
Joe Mixon's had a bad year so far.
Does their win count against the Jets then, the Browns? Does it count more of a moral victory or as a, hey, we're a contender
Okay,
victory?
But that wasn't more of... The Browns still put up 23 points.
It wasn't pretty, though.
As I said,
I'm not saying it was pretty.
Against who? I'm
not saying it was pretty.
A 10-yard slant was taking 89 to the house.
But look, Joe Mixon, 11 carries, 17 yards. against the Niners. Joe Mixon against the
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
He has like 27 carries for 44 yards.
Joe Mixon against the Seahawks. 6 carries, 10 yards. He has 27 yards rushing in 2 games.
Don't worry, I put a trade up to get him in fantasy. He's gonna have a breakout game soon.
I mean, you better hope. I mean, I don't see what y'all are seeing in the Bengals, and here's the thing. I thought
they're still missing AJ Green too.
I thought the Bengals looked good in Week 1. I thought they did, but they absolutely just destroyed every idea of good football that they had by totally just soiling the bed on Sunday. They played terrible. I don't know how much of the game that you saw, but that was a terrible, terrible show of offense. It was just bad football. And I mean, it could be me, but let's bring this back to the Steelers though. The Steelers guess who the Steelers get on Monday Night Football in a couple weeks at the end of October? The Dolphins. Can we just talk about how bad the Monday Night Football games are for the next couple weeks? It's bad.
Let's talk about, can we flip the Thursday night game? And wait, we said that was in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we flip that so Eagles-Packers can go Monday? And then, because I don't like Thursday night games.
Mean,
1, I got to work. 2, it's a short week. And plus, my whole team's injured right now.
Well, you got class on Monday nights too. Both of you.
Yeah, we're in the same class.
Yeah. But I mean, but hey, I remember when I had that Monday night class. You better believe I was streaming Monday Night Football when it started.
We will be streaming the game in class.
You want to say that live on
Brunson is not listening.
I'll be sure.
No, wait, we have a test.
I'll definitely be sure to send this to him.
Wait, do we have a test that Monday? I was going to say, I'll just finish the test.
We have a test next Monday.
I'll finish the 6:30. I'll be done with the test in an hour, and I'll be out.
Oh, yeah, then you can watch it at home. Perfectly fine.
We're geniuses.
But
we're going to be streaming it from our house, as we said.
I want to talk about this idea of just trade requests, because we've had a lot lately. Do you think that there are any parallels with the NBA in the amount of trade requests that have happened there by players? And now you're seeing a lot more in the NFL. Because I'll say this, before 2 years ago, trades in the NFL were a rarity. Very rarely did a trade happen, especially during the season. But now we've seen probably 4 trades in the last couple weeks.
Well, the big thing on NBA to NFL, I think we can agree, one basketball player makes up 20% of a starting lineup. That's a fact. And I think that 20% is a lot more influential than, let's say, that 9% of the player on an offense or defense. That's just stats right there.
You brought the facts and the
stats.
stats.
And they say journalists can't count.
Yeah.
But I just think it's an NBA player. One player makes a whole lot more of a difference than one player on an NFL team, unless if you're a quarterback. I think that's the only comparison. Quarterbacks can drastically change teams, and other than that, any one NBA player can literally flip a team.
All right. John?
Yeah, I think the player empowerment movement in the NFL is certainly gaining momentum, but it can't last because the player durability in the NBA versus the NFL is not even comparable. Because of durability, I don't think the players have as much leverage in the NFL.
Yeah, I think though, but you take into account Jadeveon Clowney. He had a lot of leverage because he was on the franchise tag, and he was like, "Hey, I'm not going to sign an extension with you." That's why he didn't go to the Dolphins. That's ultimately why he ended up going to the Seahawks for as little as he was traded for. He was traded for 2 backup linebackers and a 3rd-round pick. And don't even get me started about that. I'm not gonna go any further than that because I will be ranting for 25 minutes on here, and we don't have that kind of time here on the Hitting the Field podcast. Again, if you're just tuning in right now, Jeremy Brener, Jaret Kappelman, John Whitley in here, the studio, WNSC in Nicholson School of Communications and Media at the University of Central Florida. But at the end of the day, you look at Jadeveon Clowney's situation. You look at Minkah was just traded, and I think after that is kind of you're starting to see dominoes fall. Jalen Ramsey's about to get dealt. You look at Jamal Adams.
Tom Brady's going to be on the block soon.
Tom Brady's on the block soon for sure. Where do you think Tom Brady's going to go?
Honestly, probably Jacksonville.
Hey, they need a quarterback. You know who else needs a quarterback? The Jets. Wouldn't that be crazy?
He'd be scared to go. Tom Brady would get mono instantly.
That'd be a total power move. You trade Tom Brady to the Jets Saturday night. Tom Brady, as a Jet, plays the Patriots on Sunday. Okay, weird scenario. Tom Brady's on the Jets. They play the Patriots on Sunday. And then the Patriots start Jaret Stidham because they can't start anybody else. Who wins that game?
Jets, absolutely. Kind of reminds me of when Favre played for Minnesota and played Green Bay. Tom Brady's a winner. He will win that game. He'll have the chip on his shoulder, and he'll show everybody that that it was all him all along and not Belichick.
I don't know.
You had the face that you made when he said Jets was priceless.
Because
I wish you could see it. It was like,
wouldn't Belichick be like 8 steps ahead because he's coached Brady for so long? He's gonna know all his audibles. He's gonna know everything that Brady's doing.
Bill Belichick's like 5-4 against his former assistants. I think you can call Tom Brady an assistant at this point because he's worked with him so long.
Then he'd be 6-4. Like I don't. Plus,
I mean,
it's
Tom
like,
Brady and Le'Veon
look at the
Bell,
talent.
though.
Who's gonna? Tom Brady probably throws the ball too hard for those Jets receivers to catch the ball. Other than Le'Veon Bell, Bell would probably have 44 touches for 240 yards.
Hey, that could win a game.
That could win a fantasy game for sure.
Yeah, but this Jets team is loaded with talent top to bottom. They just don't have a quarterback. You get Tom Brady in there, it's a different team.
What do you think of their defense? Like, even Jaret Stidham with all those weapons, like, they're going to put up 28.
I don't know about that. They got an elite secondary. Plus, you have C.J. Mosley back with that defensive line, too. I think the Jets have way more talent on that roster, top to bottom, especially if they're healthy and if they have a quarterback.
Speaking of the Jets, I do want to talk about Jamal Adams for a little bit. Jamal Adams took out Jets on his Twitter bio, and I know that doesn't mean anything. No actions took place, only words, and actions mean much more than words do.
Did he retire at halftime?
I believe that is Vontae Davis who retired at halftime.
Are we sure?
I will double check the facts, but I'm pretty sure Jamal Adams is still on the Jets. He has not retired from the NFL yet.
I don't know. If it's not in your Instagram bio, it's not real.
I should put, if I don't have hitting the field in my bio, is this even real?
Nope.
I guess not. But I do want to talk a little bit about the Jets because honestly, I don't think any team has had it worse than the Jets at this point through 8 days. And Mike Greenberg almost had a tantrum on Get Up the other day. He almost had a tantrum, and it was just like, look, the Jets had so much promise coming into the season. They won the offseason by signing Le'Veon Bell, by signing C.J. Mosley, and they're going to start their third quarterback in as many weeks. Luke Falk is a starting quarterback before Colin Kaepernick. Let's get that right.
Well, didn't Falk? I don't know. I'll let John in.
I'm not going to say Luke Falk did bad.
Didn't Falk look better than Simeon?
Falk did look better than Simeon. I think the Kaepernick question is reasonable, though, because this year's a wash for Darnold.
At least he has 2 somewhat working ankles.
I think we can all agree, if we can just put everything aside and just look at, common sense, I think we've gotten to the point where people just need to accept, I just don't think Kaepernick's going to ever see the field again, because I think he would have been signed by now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think that, and I just bring that as a reference just to, again, bring up how ludicrous the whole Kaepernick situation has been. But,
it's a
and that's not a knock against Luke Falk here. I think Luke Falk looked, for a backup quarterback who was just signed off the practice squad, he did all right. But Luke Falk is going to get the start against the Patriots on Sunday.
Who has the Patriots defense?
Patriots defense. Fantasy owners, you are looking pretty solid, especially after what happened this past week. But Luke Falk's stats: 20 for 25, 198 yards, and I also think it helps to have Le'Veon Bell as your running back. That's one thing. But also, the Jets, their schedule for the next month is brutal. They have probably the hardest schedule in the next month or so. They get the Patriots. They get a bye after that because they need a rest. They need some rest.
They could lose the bye.
They might lose the bye. But, then you also have the Eagles on the road coming out of the bye. You get the Cowboys at home. And then Monday Night Football against the Patriots at home. Can someone explain to me how the Dolphins and the Jets both have 2 Monday Night Football games? Who did that? Who did that? Who needs to be fired?
ESPN.
Who needs to be
the
fired?
NFL. Well, I don't know. Do Monday Night Football games still pull numbers like they used to? Because I remember
No,
Monday Night
it does
Football
not.
games being down, so it's honestly better. Because I was reading an article interesting over the offseason, and it was it was better to schedule teams to play at the 4:25 Sunday just because you're going to get more viewers.
Well, I think ever since they moved away from ABC is when it started. But John, at this point, what do the Jets do?
I have the solution for the Jets. You know what it is?
What is it?
You take a page from the 2008 Dolphins. You put Le'Veon Bell back there in Wildcat.
I mean,
You got to get
Crazier
you got to
things have
get
been done.
creative right here.
crazier things have been done.
Or they pull a 2007 Patriots and just go Spygate on everyone.
I
say why not both?
crazier things have been done. Do you think that any team? I mean, here's a question: would you rather be the Jets? Or would you rather be the Dolphins?
Jets, absolutely. Actually, Dolphins. They've stockpiled first-round picks. They're better. They're in a better place for the future.
Well, it depends. Both teams would probably rather be themselves, if you look at it from a team's perspective, because the Dolphins just got rid of the Jets coach, and the Jets clearly want that coach. So they're clearly both teams have the coach they want. So now it just comes down to talent. I would have to say I'd rather be the Jets, though, even though I don't think Adam Gase is a great head coach. But having Le'Veon Bell, I think, just makes you a decent team.
It's true. But tough season for the Jets. We're already.
There's always next year.
There's always next year, and but I want to. The Jets are probably have the worst quarterback situation. But also, they're not alone. Quarterbacks have not had the greatest health lately. Ben Roethlisberger's out for the whole season. I do want to bring it back to the Steelers a little bit. John, Mason Rudolph, he's been given the keys to the offense. 14 weeks, you got 14 games to play. What do you expect out of Rudolph here? I know you did say how much you did not like the Steelers, and you think the Bengals are second. So how bad do you think the Steelers are going to be?
Well, I think it's going to be a dumpster fire, but I think they do have a lot of confidence in Mason Rudolph, or they wouldn't trade that first-round pick. However, you put all your faith in that guy. If he goes out and he doesn't play well, then you're stuck with him because you just trade your first-round pick. I think we all know Big Ben is done, so we'll see.
Yeah, you did mention this on the show, Jaret, the other day. Will Ben Roethlisberger play? Because I don't know if we heard your answer to
No,
this
I just
question.
asked the question.
Yeah, I want to hear your answer to this question. Does Ben Roethlisberger play another game in the NFL again?
Or
Or
NFL,
for
for
the
the
Steelers.
Steelers, I think it's time for the Steelers to move on. You drafted Rudolph in the second round 2 years ago. I think it's time to start building. I think it's time to build that Rudolph-Juju connection. You had the Brown-Ben connection. That is gone. Brown made his statement very clear. I think it's time. It's the Connor, Juju, Rudolph show now, and I think that's going to be the future. Unless, if they plan to get another quarterback in the next 2-3 years, then I guess they'll throw Ben back in there. But if they plan for Rudolph to be the guy, it's his time.
Well, here's the deal. Ben Roethlisberger just signed a new contract, and it's going to pay him a lot of money over the next 2 seasons. He has 2 more years. He's definitely on the books for 2020.
How much money are we talking?
So the contract he signed was a 2-year, $68 million contract, and he has a potential out in 2021, and he'll be
a lot of money.
38 going on 39. So I think that's a tough contract to get out of. I mean, the only way I could see it is if Rudolph totally tears it up and is totally lights out. Sort of how Ben Roethlisberger was when he was a rookie, and he kind of, surprisingly took that job from Tommy Maddox a lot quicker than most fans expected. But I think this is somewhat of a, there are pros to this, in my opinion. Obviously, you want Ben Roethlisberger over Mason Rudolph, but you now get to see what your investment is on Mason Rudolph and what you got out of him, because now you're giving him pretty much a full season to, see where he's at, see if he's a quarterback you want to move forward with, And if he's not, then you can move on from him, or you can keep him at the second string. But this is going to be a true test to see if Mason Rudolph is truly a quarterback of the future, because they did use a pretty high pick on him, a second, third round pick. They used a day 2 pick on him, so clearly they like him. But now is really their chance to see if they really have something in him. It's sort of like how Jimmy Garoppolo was, and the Patriots had Jimmy Garoppolo, but Tom Brady wasn't retiring anytime soon. But when Tom Brady was suspended, Jimmy Garoppolo got a chance to play, and it turned out to give the Patriots another high pick out of him because they traded him for, I believe, a second round pick?
Yeah, that's interesting too, because obviously Garoppolo has not, he got hurt last year, and he's looked okay, but he didn't look like the way he did with the Patriots, so then it just brings up the question again. Is it the system? Is it the player? You can look at Brissett for another example, player or the system.
John, you think, so over under 5.5, what do the Steelers win more than 5.5 games this year, or do they go under?
I'm taking the under.
Jaret.
Oh, they could. I just said they could pick one too this year. I have to say, oh, man, I'm so torn because I like Rudolph, Oklahoma State guy. Man, they're gonna win. They're gonna go 5-10-1.
That would be under then. You couldn't just say under?
Well, no, because it'd be right on the even because a lot.
5.5.
Yeah, it ties 5.5 wins technically.
Is it though?
Yeah, it counts as in the win percentage. It's a win and a loss.
Ugh. You really?
Numbers.
I gave you a question. You can't answer the question.
You knew I was gonna find a loophole.
Oh my god.
I'll take the under.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving gears here. Another team that's starting multiple quarterbacks through 3 weeks, the New York Giants. They're starting Daniel Jones, their 6th overall pick from this past draft. John, too quick to pull the plug on Eli Manning, or was this the right time?
Just the right time. You gave Eli Manning a chance to keep his job. He showed you he was the same Eli Manning. Now you've given Daniel Jones enough time to salvage your season. He's got some weapons. He's got Saquon Barkley. He's got Evan Ingram. And he's getting Golden Tate back around week 5 or 6. So he can still salvage the season. I don't like their defense, but he's got a chance. He looked real good in the preseason, so he might make it happen.
I'm going to be honest. He did have a really good preseason. And I think that this move was sort of by design. I feel like the Giants had this move planned weeks ago. Or at least they won't ever say it, but I think that because they'll say, oh, it's a week-to-week fluid situation. But no. If you look at the Giants' schedule, they had to play the Cowboys and the Bills at home, 2 really difficult defenses to play. And you're also playing, or they played the Cowboys on the road, but Bills at home, home opener for a rookie quarterback, very difficult, especially in New York, and especially with Daniel Jones, someone who's had a lot of criticism. But now you get him on the road. You're playing Tampa Bay, a team that it's a favorable situation for him. I think the Giants actually have a chance to win this game this week. Jaret, right time, wrong time?
It was too late.
Too late.
One, Eli had a chance to finish his starting career above average. Now he's average because he's 500 career win percentage as a starter. But realistically, what was the thought process? The Giants had to think they were going to go 0-2 regardless, looking at that schedule. Maybe 1-1. I think the Cowboys game was going to be a loss.
They could have won at home.
But, what's the worst happen? You start Daniel Jones and you're still 0-2, but hey, he's got that 2 games of experience, and then, they can turn the season around. But now he's got that 2-game buffer where you're not going to want to call plays for him. You're going to have to find his groove. So they could have used those first 2 games that they've already lost to find that groove.
I think, though, with quarterbacks in New York, especially rookie quarterbacks, you really have to give them time. And, Mark Sanchez,
he had no time. He was instantly a sensation and then fell off.
But I also think that's part of why he fell off, is he never really,
the butt fumble ended his career.
Yeah, and to be fair, though, was Mark Sanchez... Tell me the difference between Mark Sanchez and Blake Bortles.
John?
Is there really a difference?
There's no difference.
Exactly.
They're both great backup quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Elite backup quarterbacks.
Elite backup. Okay.
Nah, there's one difference.
What is the difference?
One spends a lot of time at beach bars.
Beach bars. Yeah. Blake Bortles.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oviedo.
What a guy.
Oviedo High School. Or did he go to Oviedo High? Or did he go? He's from Oviedo.
I don't know. You can't use
You go to
That's all that
University
matters.
High.
You got us a Fiesta
Yep.
Bowl.
Absolutely. But I actually think that Daniel Jones, he was picked too high, but I don't think he's a bad quarterback. If that makes sense. To be the sixth,
He looked.
sixth overall pick.
I mean, he looked good in preseason, but it's preseason, doesn't count. Blah blah blah.
No.
Get me into the Bucs game.
Yeah, I think this week will prove a lot. John,
He looked good in preseason, but is part of the reason he looked so good because our expectations for him were so low.
that's also a very good
Well,
point.
that's actually that actually might be
That might be exactly why.
that might be it.
And also that to me, I think that when you're not starting in New York, when you're 0-2, expectations are a little bit lower. Not to say that Daniel Jones isn't capable of performing well with high expectations, because obviously the Giants drafted him to win Super Bowls. They are looking at this guy to be a franchise quarterback for them. So they obviously see a lot in him. They spent the 6th overall pick on him when most teams didn't have him as high. So if you were to draft, like, the thing is about Daniel Jones is he was drafted 6th. He wasn't the highest quarterback on most people's boards, but I think that New York just took the guy that they wanted, and they want to be very careful with him. So that's what they're doing. But I think that they wanted to give him a few weeks, make sure he was totally comfortable. Now he has the offense. Offensive line is better this year, and I think that helps with his development. He obviously has Saquon. That will help. And yeah, he'll get back Golden Tate in a couple weeks, and I think that will help as well. I'm gonna say this right now. The Giants will beat the Bucs on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, they say a quarterback's best friend is a great running back and a great tight end. The New York Giants have both.
That's true. Yeah.
I know we didn't talk about this. Like, I don't know if we plan on it, but just real quick, how long is it going to be before we see Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock in for their teams? They fed all this season.
Drew Lock will not play this season.
Drew Lock is Paxton Lynch 2.0.
Yeah, I'm going to say they just did him dirty again. Like,
Dwayne Haskins, I think we'll see him.
'cause I think both teams need
I think
help.
we'll see Dwayne Haskins in November. That's what I think.
I think sooner than that. Jay Gruden's coaching for his job right now. He's got to.
That's true.
If he doesn't start winning games, he's got to make the move sooner than later. We might see him as soon as 1-2 weeks from now.
Yeah. So the Redskins have a bye.
To be fair, too, it's not even like Keenum's looked bad, but they played the Eagles. Weren't going to win that.
The Redskins have a bye pretty late in the season.
Played the Cowboys. Yeah, they have a bye week 11, 12, maybe.
Week 10 is their bye week.
Man was off by 2 weeks.
So week 11 against the Jets.
But
It's a good
Joe
week to have at home.
Flacco, come on.
Yeah.
What are the Broncos?
I'm telling you, that was a crazy game.
Elway
on Sunday.
has this scheme to make sure that he remains the best quarterback in Broncos franchise history.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, could that be the true case?
It is.
Yeah.
Right, John,
It is the true case, but also on the flip side, maybe they think they can draft these quarterbacks with the physical tools who aren't really quarterbacks and have Elway groom them.
That's also part of it. But also they have...
Elway's success came against the Browns. No offense to my dad, but the Browns as a franchise, just years of bad luck in Cleveland. Like,
Yeah.
Elway's only known for a 98-yard drive against them.
Oh,
like,
I know.
Oh, okay, time out. But if that doesn't happen, what are we
Helicopter.
looking at?
Helicopter, two rings?
Yeah, but I'm saying, if that doesn't happen against the Browns twice, he has no rings.
No. He didn't... That drive against the Browns, they didn't win that Super Bowl. They didn't.
I'm going to check my
Jaret,
facts.
your
on that.
history...
I'm going to check my facts.
Your facts are wrong, bro.
I'm going to check my facts.
Your facts are wrong. He won 2 Super Bowls in the 90s. That was in the 80s.
Tough times.
Yeah. Jaret clearly was...
I told you, I definitely wasn't.
Well, you know what,
late.
Jaret? Yeah, you weren't living yet, so you get that excuse.
Still a 90s kid.
Yeah. But I'm a 90s kid. John, are you a 90s kid?
I am a 90s kid,
Oh, my
1997.
1997.
Oh, jeez. I'm so young.
Man, yeah, 98 right here.
Yeah, 97, 98, 99. Down the line.
So anything that happened before then does not exist.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And if
So,
it's not in your Twitter
John
bio, it's not real.
Elway's drive does not exist, according to you.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So don't bring it up again.
Okay. But the Marlins World Series in 97 counts.
Does it, though?
Yes.
You weren't born then.
Doesn't matter.
Was John born
yeah,
before
he was,
then?
wait.
That's January 1997.
Okay, then it does count in John's book, and John's in the room, so I guess it technically does count for now. But once John leaves the room, it doesn't count.
That's tough.
Yeah. But you know what does count? Drew Brees' injury. That definitely happened. It happened in our lifetime.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it.
Now, is that the Teddy Bridgewater curse? Because he's been hanging out with Bridgewater, so that made him injury prone. When was the last time? I want to see the stat. I saw the stat the other day, but he had played, started. He was healthy and
But Drew Brees didn't play Week 17 last year.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he was healthy in a good span of a few seasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now. But Drew Brees is out 6 weeks. 6 weeks, Drew Brees.
I know John's a Packers fan, and real quick,
yeah,
Eagles Packers in 2 weeks, in Green Bay. What do you think?
Green Bay, top 5 defense right now.
So the last time Drew Brees did not play at least 15 games in a season, 2003.
Yeah, okay. I saw the number the other day.
Yeah.
Well, he's also 40 years old now.
He is 40 years old now, but also the injury that he had wasn't a 40-year-old injury. It was just, honestly, that could have happened to anybody.
I felt it broke my heart to see him try to pick up a football and just couldn't. It's Drew Brees. You can't hate the guy.
Yeah. So the only time he started less than 15 games in a season, 2003, and then his rookie year in 2001. But yeah, Drew Brees is going to miss at least 6 weeks. So the Saints, what's their future looking like with the Saints right now?
Yeah, I sure hope they can salvage it. They're deeper at quarterback than any team in the league, but you hate to see it for Drew Brees because 6 weeks to a 4-year-old is a eternity. With the way that defense is playing right now, it's not looking good, especially with the way Marcus Lattimore is playing. You bring in Jalen Ramsey, you give yourself a chance in a wide open division, probably the most open division in the NFC. So
all the NFL maybe.
Yeah. So
because you look at it now, Falcons are 1-1, Saints are 1-1, Panthers are 0-2, Bucks are 1-1.
Yeah, but
and the Saints could be 0-2. We could argue.
We're gonna play devil's advocate here. All right.
No.
Next 6 weeks for the Saints at the Seahawks. Win or loss?
Win.
Loss.
Okay. Home against the Cowboys. Sunday Night Football. Win or loss?
I don't like the Cowboys, so win.
Loss again.
Okay. So 2-0, 0-2. Home against the Bucks.
Win.
They lost that game last year.
Win.
Loss again.
I'll go with the win there. I think they go 1-2 in those games. At the Jaguars.
Win.
I think that's a win.
I think that's a loss. I think Gardner Minshew's going to have gained so much momentum by then.
John does not like the Saints.
And the morale for the Saints is going to be so low on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
For those of you keeping track at home, John now has the Saints at 1-5. I don't know the last time that happened in Saints franchise history.
It's definitely happened before, though.
No,
but if it didn't happen in our lifetime, then
it didn't happen.
Maybe it has never happened.
Yeah.
At the Bears,
a loss.
That's a loss.
We have 2 running backs.
John's gonna say win just to screw with us.
That's a loss.
Okay, so John has them at 1-6.
But it's going to be close. It'll probably be about 10-7. Neither team's going to be able to put up points.
It's 2 running backs playing quarterback.
The first to double digits wins. Then you get the Cardinals at home. Kyler Murray.
Loss. No. They're gonna win.
Tie?
No.
Do you want to throw a tie in there?
I could throw my tie.
The Cardinals have tied half of their games so far.
That is a fact. No, they win. The Saints are gonna go 5-1 without Breeze.
5-1. Really?
No, realistically, yeah. They'll probably lose that Cowboys.
All right, John.
So the Saints have lost so many games at this point. Taysom Hill is now the quarterback, and they get the win.
Oh,
I like that actually, but I think they're going to use Taysom Hill more this week.
Okay, then they get their bye November 3rd.
They do beat the bye,
so they win the bye
because Breeze should come back. So that's a win.
So that's what I'm thinking is if you give him 6 games to rest. Then you get a bye. That's a full 2 months without playing. And then you get him back at home against the Falcons. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have a full 8 games with him.
I mean, we forget Bridgewater was a kicker away from playing in the NFC divisional round. And then that Seahawks team went on to go to the Super Bowl that year to lose to the infamous Malcolm Butler pick.
Yes, but also that was Teddy Bridgewater before his knee exploded. I want to bring
fair enough.
I want to bring this segment that I've wanted to do for a very long time now. It's called Tired or Wired. And it's where opinions are thrown out and we determine if they are tired narratives or wired narratives, meaning they actually exist. This is a tired narrative here. Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. That is a tired narrative. I'm going to just say it right now. Teddy Bridgewater is not the quarterback he used to be. He's not. I'm sorry, he's not. What is wired is he's a good backup. Elite backup. I'll even throw a word elite backup here. But is an elite backup what you really want? No.
Bridgewater could start on at least 8 teams right now.
Oh, for sure.
As the starter.
Oh, for sure. But that doesn't mean he's a good quarterback.
I think he's a good quarterback.
I think what made him...
I think he's in the top half of NFL quarterbacks right now.
Well, does that include all the backups?
Like, if you take the 32 starters, divide them in half, he is number 16 right now.
Really?
Yeah, John, I'll let you talk and all.
I'd put him about 25. You say he's not the quarterback he used to be. You are absolutely right, and he wasn't that good of a quarterback to begin with.
Well, here's... Would you rather have Teddy Bridgewater or Jacoby Brissett?
Jacoby Brissett. I think he's a good, underrated quarterback, and it will be a long-time starter in the league.
Yeah, Jaret. Jacoby Brissett or Teddy Bridgewater?
Man, that's tough. I'm gonna go Bridgewater actually.
Okay.
And I'm big on Brissett because I've talked about Brissett a lot, but I'm gonna take Bridgewater.
Really? Because I'll tell you this, I just don't see it. I really don't. Look, here's the thing.
Here's what I got for you. Put the talent aside, like the who's surrounding him. I think Teddy Bridgewater is the same as Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, but I don't think
really.
I don't think Baker Mayfield's proved anything.
No. You can't just say that.
You think Baker's better?
Yes.
He certainly has the potential to be better.
I
We know what
potential,
Bridgewater
but
is.
I think right now, from their playing standards, I think they're the same player.
At this point, though,
Bridgewater's a much better decision maker.
I'm very surprised and puzzled. I'm going to use one of my words Anna Bruzzo uses. I'm puzzled. Man, I'm puzzled.
I heard that in
puzzled.
his voice.
Yeah,
I'm puzzled.
I'm definitely going to tell Anna to listen to this now. But look, if the Saints have 4 home games in this next 6-game stretch. If they can go 3-3 at least, I think they have a shot. And there are winnable games there. You should beat the Bucs still. You should beat the Jags still. And if you can, squeak a win against maybe the Cardinals or possibly the Bears just have a bad game overall and you can just out-squeak them on offense, then I think you get a shot. But I think 2-4 is more. I think 2-4 or 3-3 is the most likely scenario here. And if you're 2-4, that puts you at 3-5 going into the bye. And not exactly where you want to be, but 8 games with Drew Brees left, I think it's doable. I really do. And look, maybe you give Teddy Bridgewater a full week of practice, and you put him a full week with the ones because he didn't get a whole lot of reps with the ones in preseason. But now you have him. Maybe he'll get a better feel of his players and his offense. You know who else I think is going to benefit from this? Traquan Smith, UCF wide receiver, is going to benefit from this because he probably ran a lot of reps with Traquan, and him and Traquan probably have a good connection there. So I think Traquan's stock is going to go up. But let's do another tired or wired. The 2-0 49ers are going to make the playoffs. Tired narrative or wired, John?
I'm going to say tired. They haven't showed me consistency yet. Until they do that, I'm not going to take them to make the playoffs. When their offense is clicking, it's butter. They are up there with the best offenses in the league. But until they show that consistently, they're not a playoff team.
Not in that division. Not this year. No. I don't like it.
All right. I mean, look, I think the Niners had one of the more cake schedules. Cake meaning just easy. The Bucks,
Why do we say that? Because, isn't it? It's kind of hard to make cake.
Okay, but cake just feels good. Is it? Well,
yeah, I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
but
yeah. Well, we don't have time to waste.
okay, then
we'll discuss this after.
Okay, we'll discuss this after. We'll go one.
I'll do
more.
anything to argue.
We'll go one more. The Ravens will beat the Chiefs this weekend. Tired or
Absolutely.
wired?
Tired means it's not going to happen because it's not going to happen. Mahomes going to have a great fantasy game, though.
Tired, absolutely. What Mahomes did last week, I've never seen done on a football field. The Chiefs are the greatest show on turf, 2.0. Not many teams are beating them this year. The Ravens got one of the better chances to do it, but it's not going to happen. Not this week. Mahomes is way too hot right now.
I got one to throw at you. Mahomes will win back-to-back MVPs.
Wired. I think it's a wired statement at this point, honestly. But also here's another here's an argument though for the tired narrative for that one. Mahomes did not throw a touchdown in 3 of those 4 quarters.
Yeah, I know, well aware. But he still threw for 170 outside of that quarter.
I mean, yeah, but 0 touchdowns.
One was called back because of holding. 70
True.
yards to Watkins.
True.
John?
Tired or wired? Mahomes repeats his MVP.
I'm going to say wired. With all the quarterbacks going down right now, it looks like Mahomes, maybe if Aaron Rodgers can get clicking in the Packers offense, but right now Mahomes looks like he's even better than he was last year, so that's definitely the safe bet.
We're 2 weeks in, but I mean, if the season ended today, there'd be 2 quarterbacks up for MVP, and it would be Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, and they both play each other.
It's true. All right, guys. That is going to be all for us for this episode of the Hitting the Field podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening. Hitting the Field for season 9, we are cranking out more content than ever before. It is go big or go home. And this season, we're going big. So just wanted to throw out some things for just a second, Jaret, before we clock out. We got Hitting the Field Mondays at noon. We're going to go live this week. Fingers crossed.
We will. I'll guarantee that.
It's a guarantee from
That's a
Jaret
guarantee.
Kappelman. That is a wired narrative. Hitting Field will go live this week. That is a wired narrative.
John Whitley will make his HTF debut.
Yes. John Whitley making his HTF debut on Monday. John, anything you'd like to add to tell the Hitting the Field podcast listeners right now? No.
Oh, that's bold.
No.
He's going to come out lights out.
I hope. Yeah, you better come out lights out.
I don't know
John.
who's going to be out there.
I'm fired up.
You need to be like we need to see a Gardner Minshew debut from you.
You'll see a little more of a Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. Okay, that's a bold statement. You better back it up.
Ooh.
I know he will. We also got Armand Sardui on next Monday.
He's a 49ers fan. Just make fun of his team. It's easy.
But as always, we got Jaret Kappelman, John Whitley, Jaret Brener live from WNSC at the University of Central Florida. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see y'all next week.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.